All right, start this class. Welcome to another episode, 9 Mind Radio. We will tonight be talking about a couple of things in the current affairs of what I've seen recently in terms of interracial dating amongst specifically black women that I've seen recently. The main thing I've seen is three sisters that is in the public eye. One in particular is Serena Williams. She's engaged now to engaged to a white man. And it's very peculiar of Serena Williams, but it wasn't surprising, seeing as how it's a lot of activity that she has that she does around white men. She's very much a performer for white people, if you notice that. There's a lot of memes that's created, a lot of GIFs. A GIF that's like a 3-second, rewind of the same piece of film where, for example, you'll see a lot of times what she does is she'll have like a white man around her, like an old white man. I've seen this several times where it'd be an old white man around her or like a bunch of white people around her, and she makes like kind of goofy gestures, like tennis gestures, or she wears certain types of clothing that's very like tight-fitting around white people. I'm not saying she's never done this before, but I've noticed each time I've seen her in public, she's been very like, how do you say, very inviting towards white people, as the way she carries herself around them. And then the other woman I've seen recently that's married outside of her race as a black woman was Felicia Rashad's daughter. But specifically we're talking about Serena Williams because it's very peculiar that the moment she decided to go get a white man, all of a sudden, within the same breath, she says, I'm paraphrasing though, on her actions, she throws black men under the bus. And it was kind of funny, but I was not surprised. Here we go. It was Zoe Saldana, and people already knew about Zoe Saldana and her husband, and then Condola, which is Felicia Rashad's daughter. She looks just like Felicia Rashad, too, if you've seen her before. But like I said, so you got to look at certain types of actions that will tell you a lot about what a person will do in the near future. Serena Williams has never carried herself like someone that's like down with black people like that. She's never carried herself like that. She's carried herself as a black athlete, or just as an athlete, period, because, she's always been adamant about not wanting to be the black athlete, but just be an athlete, a great athlete. And it was not, again, for me, it was not surprising to see her be engaged to a white man at all. Because it was funny because, when people seen her, she dated two black men previously. She dated Drake and she dated Comet. Both didn't go right. So I was kind of like, wow, this is kind of peculiar. But then you got to look at it from an objective perspective too. What was the reason that they both didn't work? What was the reason that they both didn't work? And are you going to blame black men for that? Because it's easy. If you notice, a lot of sisters that date outside their race, the moment they date outside their race, or they feel the need again to disrespect black men as the reason why they've done this. And I felt that was kind of sad because you see this reoccurring theme that when you go white, it's time to throw your own race under the bus. But on the other side of it, a lot of sisters that I've talked to about this, and I've seen comments that were made where sisters stuck up for Serena Williams. But these are the same sisters that call themselves pro-black. And I found that weird because I'm saying you should be mad at her because she didn't pick one of your brothers, whereas rather than seeing it as an insult, a lot of our sisters are seeing it as, well, you know, maybe you brothers ain't stepping up. Because her thing was the way she was, I'm just saying, again, I have to paraphrase what Serena Williams said because I don't have it right in front of me, but that they didn't want to marry her or something like that. It was something that they didn't want to marry her. And I'm saying there's a reason why they probably didn't want to marry her. Because if you notice, if you look at the things that she does, she's very, like, seductive around, again, white people. She does certain things where it's like she tries to either appear non-threatening as a black woman or she tries to appear very affectionate towards them. And I see it a lot, you know, and it's kind of weird. Like, when her actions is very weird. And me, it's about just telling the truth. I don't care whether people like it or not, but just her actions around other groups outside of herself shows that she wants to be among them more than she wants to be among her own people. And the fact that she was engaged to one, I'm like, I was not surprised. So when people kept making posts about what she was doing, but then it was funny because there was a good number of black people who was like, so what? She do what she want to do. And these are people who, again, who call themselves pro-black. I'm like, being pro-black means you're pro-black male and woman marrying with each other, having children together, not, well, because pro-black is a general statement, but it encompasses a lot of different concepts. You know, you don't be pro-black, but then you're okay with Serena Williams, you know, having sex, you know, getting with a white man. You don't say shit like that, and it sounds stupid. It's like, what are you saying? What exactly are you trying to say? And so we have to not be hypocritical because she's a black woman, she gets a pass. And I think that's what it's come down to because, put it to you like this, let's be honest about this. If Serena Williams was not Serena Williams and she was, let's say, for example, Floyd Mayweather, it would be a lot more polarizing. Because as you can see, we got, and I'm looking online, I'm seeing Serena Williams against Zoe Saldana and Condola, which is again Felicia Rashad's daughter. All three of them dated a white. All three of them are getting married or are married to a white man. There's not an outrage from the black community about it. If you notice, no one's saying anything about this. It's kind of like it's like that hush mouth, like, you know, well, you know, whatever. When it's a black woman, but then when it's a black man, if this was three black men I was talking about, it would be easy to just have this conversation and throw them under the bus, which I'm not throwing either one of these sisters under the bus. I'm just addressing the situation that we're going through, and at the same time, to look at the deeper science behind why you see so much of this going on right now. If you really look at society in the direction that we're moving in, society wants to move black people as a whole back into slavery physically. We already have the prison industrial complex going on, so you have a form of slavery for black men specifically. Because if you do the research, you find out that in America, 2 million of its citizens are in prison, and 1 million of them are black men specifically. So if you're saying 13% of the population in America, 13% of the population are black people, whether it be, it fluctuates from 12 to 14, in between that, 12, 13, 14. And 50% of black males are in prison. So you're saying from, let's say, 13%, out of that 13%, you're looking at about 6% of the black population are in prison. So you having record numbers of black men, you know, in prison, this and that, and this and that. So the slavery, the prison industrial complex is now truly jumping off to a higher degree than they've ever been able to do before. So each year, within a 5-year period, the numbers go further and further up. So slavery is now back and instituted back into America. We just are used to it. They made people used to slavery again. Whereas if they were just start throwing black people back into the cotton fields or back into into the tobacco fields, in the wheat fields, or in the corn or whatever, it would be outright disgusting and horrendous to watch. But they had to create a system where you won't think about the population because they're criminals. You understand? So now you can say, well, they're criminals, so it doesn't mean nothing, so I can just look past it. But it's still slavery because the same crimes that's going on that they say black people are doing, white people are doing, but black people are getting 10 times the sentence. So, again, you have legalized slavery in America. But I'm leading into something because, again, they've been trying to, since the end of slavery, they've been trying to find a way to either exterminate the black race or reinstitute slavery. And another element of slavery that they were not able to really do or haven't been able to do like they really wanted to was own black women. They've been wanting to own our women outright, marry them, date them, have sex with them at will, do whatever they wanted to. And now, as you can see with the higher degree of interracial dating being promoted now, the miscegenation laws, I wouldn't even say laws, but the miscegenation acts performed by white men are going at record numbers now. They want our women now. They want to be able to really own them and bedwitch them all over again. And that's a funny statement. People don't like to use the word Negro bedwitch, but it's a coping mechanism in slavery. It went from our women being raped consistently to sisters basically getting with the slave master or the slave master's sons out of a need to go from being in the field to the house. And so a lot of times when you see a lot of these interracial couples, a lot of them are the white male treats the black woman like a slave. She's more submissive to the white male. This is reality. Now, I saw a video about this several months ago, and a lot of sisters thought it was disgusting or this is not true, it's not true. I'm like, yes, it is. Because black women, for the most part, know their place around white men. They just don't want to admit that that's really what goes on. They don't want to admit that the moment they leave a black man and when they're around that white man, because for the most part, most of the time when black people as a whole see white men, they mostly see them as a supervisor, an owner of something, or, a job boss or whatever. You don't see them in the same social status as you see yourself. And so it was funny because when you go back to Serena Williams' net worth for $350 million, whereas the guy that she married, I don't know his name, I don't really give a damn, is really only worth $6 million. And it's funny because it was something else that she was talking about in terms of black men that I've been with before, they couldn't cut it. They couldn't cut it in terms of social status. And what's interesting is, you mean to tell me that you got with two black men prior, Drake and Common, who I'm not saying that they make $350 million, but they make more than this white boy that you with. But you got with a white man that makes considerable less than you do. So it wasn't about you basically threw away your whole argument on black men just to be with a white man. That's reality. You can't sweep that under the rug to try to protect Serena Williams for how great she's buck danced and been a great athlete for black, in terms of black athletes, because it's still bullshit at the end of the day. We can't keep protecting those who are race trading, because this is race trader. This is a race trader. That what she did is an act of being a race trader, male or female. See, what we cannot do is get into the gender immunity problem that I notice amongst black people is, let's say, for example, you have a problem where black people now, in terms of consciousness, will say woman is God, right? And so what that does is the concept of God that we define is an entity that is above mistake and can do no wrong. So when you define God like that, and you put that tag on a specific mortal being, that mortal being is above mistake the same way. So when you have a woman who may do something that's terrible, terribly wrong, they have to find someone else to blame for it. It can't possibly be her. Can't possibly be her. Because if it was her, I mean, come on now. If she did it, she had to have someone else that either forced her to do it or was the real reason why she did it. And it's crazy. But if you look at what they're doing, it's sad. All this going on right now in terms of black women. I'm just speaking about this subject today in terms of black women going outside of their race, because we're going right back into where white men know they have more of an access to our women, because black women for the most part don't respect black men, and you cannot judge your respect of your compliment based upon the capital that he gains a year. A lot of sisters I've noticed recently, and whether conscious or no conscious, both, they judge black men based upon the type of job they have and how much money they make, when that shouldn't even be the prerequisite for why you're with him. Now, I'm not saying throw out the provider at all, but at the same time, I'm talking about provider in terms of his job as being provider, but you cannot sit here and judge a black man in this society based upon how much money he makes a year, because that's ridiculous. And the fact that Serena Williams was making these statements shows the self-hater, mindset that she really has. Why would you even say these things? But then you get with a white man who makes way less than you. So technically, you just wanted to be the bedwench for the white man. You just didn't want to say that. There's a lot of sisters who think like that. A lot of sisters who make statements that white people make all the time on their websites about black men, but it goes unchecked because it's like there's a gender immunity thing going on, and that's only created not so much because of the whole women as God concept, because of the rift that's been created since slavery and since the feminist movement into the black male and female relationship. Nobody wants to talk about the rift, but then you see things like this go on where you're going to see more and more white males with black women relationships. So people will be like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, I really don't care. But just think about it like this. If you really had it together, no white woman, no white man will be able to get inside of your tribe and take your woman from you. And that's a serious issue that we don't like to really talk about too much, because we like to say, well, we got it together, when you obviously and clearly don't have it together, because if you did, that wouldn't be going on. So that's a serious issue, and I think the Serena Williams situation speaks not so much also, it's not just about what she did, but just our reactions towards it is very telling to really see exactly where we're coming from and how we see things, and how we make certain people make excuses for the actions that she just did. The fact that you're making an excuse for it says a lot about you and how you perceive your own people. And the fact that subconsciously within yourself, you actually feel like that might not be a bad idea for yourself if you make an excuse for her. Well, I don't know. A lot of these brothers out here ain't got their shit together. If you're making a statement like that, knowing what's going on to us, then that means that subconsciously you might want to do the same thing yourself as well. You just don't want to admit it out in public, because you might get a backlash for that type of statement. So that's the situation that's going on in terms of what I see, and that's crazy. But that's, again, you're going to see more and more situations like this, because again, white people want to be able to own black people again in certain types of ways, and sometimes always, at some point always, they want to find a way to enslave us, and if they can't do it outright, they'll find ways of controlling the black family, and that is a way to control the black family, is to directly affect the black family by getting into the black family by taking away who is the black male natural counterpart, which is the black woman, and have the black woman under the white male. And that's goes right back into slavery. It's not something we can avoid and pretend that's not going on. This is a natural. This is a serious dichotomy that we're seeing. You know, so that's the situation that I see that's going on right now, and we can't keep making excuses for it by saying things like, "Well, it's not that serious, ain't got nothing to do with me." It has everything to do with you, because how you perceive your male counterpart will determine how much value you put on your male counterpart. It's very important to look at things from that angle, and to not, be cavalier about certain issues such as this, because this is very serious. Because, this is, it's no different than the slave master owning our women. So go right back to it again. So I'm gonna open up the line. I just wanted to have my take on that. And might be a quick class. I'm going to open back up the line.